You know, sometimes the story of just one family can tell you a whole lot about a bigger picture, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. Their journey across an ocean, the tragedies they faced, and the incredible legacy they built. It's a story that's both deeply personal and, in a way, the story of America itself.
I mean, really think about that. What does it actually take to just leave everything you've ever known behind? For Sjur and Brita Leland, the couple at the heart of our story, the answer was a powerful mix of courage, hope, and just sheer grit. Okay, let's get into it.
Their personal story, it's like a window right into this massive wave of Norwegian immigration that totally shaped the American Midwest back in the 19th century. We're going to follow them all the way from their life in the Old World to their brand new beginning in the United States.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to go back to where it all started for them, in Voss, Norway. This was a beautiful, but also a really tough farming region tucked away in the fjords of western Norway. For them, this was the entire world.
All right, so let's meet the people at the heart of this story. We have Sjur Torgersen, born way back in 1804, and Brita Olsdatter, born in 1818. And yet, you're seeing that right, a 14-year age gap. That's pretty significant, and it kind of gives you an idea of the different perspectives they were each bringing to the table.
So they get married in 1850. Now, remember, Sjur is already 45 years old and Brita's 31, and they didn't waste any time starting a family. Within just 3 years, boom, they have 3 sons, Torger, Ole, and Matthias. Life on their farms around Voss seemed pretty settled, right? Well, not for long.
Because then they made a decision that would change not just their lives, but the lives of every single generation that came after them. They decided to leave it all behind for the promise of America.
Okay, let's just pause on these numbers for a second. Sjur is 51 years old. 51! In the 1850s, that's not exactly young, especially for this kind of undertaking. And they have 3 little boys. The youngest is just a toddler. The sheer guts it took to pack everything up and face that kind of journey, it's just incredible to think about.
And look, this wasn't just hopping on a boat. This journey was an absolute marathon. We're talking multiple stages, each one a huge challenge in itself. They had to get from their farm to the coast, sail from Bergen, land all the way up in Quebec, and then make this long, hard trek down to Wisconsin.
But here's a twist. They got incredibly lucky on the most dangerous part of the trip, the Atlantic crossing. Their ship, the Hebe, made it in just 3 weeks. Now you got to understand that was fast, like ridiculously fast for the time. Most voyages took 6, 7, even 8 weeks, and were filled with dangers like disease and storms. So this was a huge blessing.
So you'd think, okay, they made it. The hard part is over. But no, in so many ways, the real challenges were just beginning. And their new life in Wisconsin started with this brutal 1-2 punch of tragedy and hope all at the same time.
And this is just heartbreaking. Shortly after they arrive, right after they finally get a home built, tragedy hits. Their youngest son, Matthias, the little 2-year-old who made that entire trip, he dies. He was only 3. I can't even imagine the pain of losing a child after you've sacrificed absolutely everything to get them to a new life.
Yet, in that very same year, something incredible happens. They have their first American-born child, a daughter they name Ingeborg. And this, right here, just shows you the incredible resilience we're talking about. To face that kind of devastating loss and still find a way to look forward and build a future.
Now, here's something interesting about how they built their new identity. We need to talk about Norwegian names for a second. Back then, they didn't really have fixed family surnames like we do. They used something called a patronymic system. So Sjur's son wasn't Torger Torgersen, he was Torger Sjursen, which literally means Torger, the son of Sjur.
So, when they got to America, you can see how that would get complicated, right? For owning land, for legal documents, they needed one consistent family name. So, in the 1870s, they officially adopt the name Leland. And it's a perfect choice, really. It was the name of a family farm back in Voss. So they're creating this new American identity, but they're doing it while honoring their roots.
And Sjur, he really became part of the fabric of his new community. He wasn't just some guy trying to make it. He was known for his character. There's this one description of him that says he was a kind and accommodating man, willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. That tells you everything, doesn't it? It shows they weren't just surviving, they were building a community.
So, after all that struggle, all that hard work, what did it all amount to?
What was the legacy they actually built? Well, let's take a look at how they went from being immigrants to becoming ancestors.
So their 4 surviving kids, they all had different stories. Their oldest son, Torger, he's the one who really carried the family line forward, having 10 kids of his own. Ingeborg, their American-born daughter, had 2 children. Ole, their other son, he never married. And then sadly, their youngest daughter, Anna, passed away when she was only 33.
And how about this for a measure of success? When Sjur passed away in 1889, his personal estate was worth almost $3,000. Now, that might not sound like a fortune today, but for a guy who showed up with next to nothing just 33 years earlier, that was a huge accomplishment. That was security. That was a foundation for the future.
And really, this is what it's all about. This is the result of that one impossibly brave decision. You start with 2 people, Sjur and Brita. They have 4 kids who make it to adulthood. Those kids have 12 children. And from there, the family tree just explodes. Their single journey created a legacy of countless descendants spread all across America.
You know, the Leland story is just one story, but it's such a powerful reminder that behind almost every family name, there's a story like this, a story of a journey, of taking a huge risk, of starting over. And it kind of makes you think, doesn't it? What are the journeys, the big ones, the small ones, that define your own family story?